Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again and welcome to any new viewers. This is To The Point English with Ben. I'm Ben. Now, in my opinion, I think you're going to find this video really interesting and fascinating because we're going to be looking at something called tautology, which you should avoid in your essays or any academic writing compositions in your Cambridge English exams or any English exams or even in real life. So what is tautology? Well, really, it's just a fancy word for quite a simple concept. And in order to explain it, we're going to look at that sentence I just said again. So I said, in my opinion, I think you're going to find this video really interesting and fascinating. So that sentence has two examples of tautology. So what do you think they are? Where are the two examples of tautology in that sentence? Well, if I told you that tautology is basically redundancy in linguistic expression, so really just saying the same thing twice, then perhaps now you can find the two examples of tautology in that sentence, right? Yeah, the first one is where I start the sentence by saying, in my opinion, I think. Now that's completely redundant. I think there is unnecessary. If it's in my opinion, it's something I think. I don't need to explicitly say it. And if I think something, then of course it's my opinion, right? So it's redundant to express it. You're expressing the same idea twice using different words. And the second example of tautology in that sentence is quite obvious, right? It's where I say really interesting and fascinating. So they are synonyms. If something is really interesting, it's fascinating. So I'm just repeating the same idea using different words. Now this is particularly relevant to the writing paper of the Cambridge English exams because apart from the fact that your time is limited and you have a certain word length that you should try to stick to, so you don't want to include any irrelevant or redundant words, the examiners are looking out for repetition and this type of unnecessary use of vocabulary. I think a lot of students think that the more vocabulary they use, the more they write, the more they can impress the examiners. But it doesn't work like that. The examiners are looking for you to express your ideas in a concise way. So just repeating ideas using different words is not going to necessarily get you more marks. Now you may be thinking that this is not a big problem, right? It's not a common mistake that we see a lot, and maybe you think that you don't do this in your own writings. But I'm going to share some examples of typical mistakes that I've seen when students have sent me their writings for correction. So the first one, nevertheless though, it is necessary, etc. So nevertheless and though are both linking words of contrast. So putting them together in the same sentence is a type of tautology. It's redundant to use both. Another example, taking the aforementioned points previously discussed into consideration. So you can see the redundancy there, right? The aforementioned points previously discussed. If they are aforementioned, then they are by their nature previously discussed. So it's completely unnecessary and incorrect again to repeat the same idea within the same sentence. Another common example is to sum up in a nutshell. So this is in the conclusion, perhaps of a less formal task because in a nutshell is more of an informal expression. But to sum up and in a nutshell express the same idea, right? So putting them in the same sentence is a form of tautology and will lose you marks in an exam. Another example, it is thought by people that, so by people here is unnecessary. It is thought, we're using the passive form here in order to not specifically reference the people, the agents who are doing the thinking. So it kind of ruins that whole passive voice sentence by including by people. And one more example, and this perhaps could be from a report or a proposal. It is recommended that the survey is repeated again. So the tautology here is repeated again, right? If something is repeated, then it contains that idea of being again. Now, it is possible to repeat something again if it's already been repeated once and then you repeat it again. But in this context, really you're suggesting that the survey was done once and it needs to be repeated once, not again. So, of course, it always depends on the context. So all of those examples are typical in the essays or any other writing tasks in the Cambridge English exams, but I'm going to share some more examples where we see tautology in more general situations, and these are actually quite common. But again, they're technically redundancies. We don't need to use both words. So let's have a look at the first example. An unexpected surprise. So again, you can see, right? A surprise by definition is unexpected. So you don't need to specify that it's an unexpected surprise. An unintentional mistake. Mistakes are unintentional. That's part of the definition of the word mistake. They're unintentional, so we don't need to specify. And to go down south or to go up north. South is considered down, right? And north is considered up. Again, many people say this. Many people say to go down south or to go up north, but technically it's tautology and it's not necessary to specify both. It's one or the other. To go up, to go down, to go north, to go south. But altogether it's redundant. And we often see examples of tautology when we're using abbreviations. So when we use letters to represent words, because we may not know or we may forget what the last letter of the abbreviation is representing. So for example, when we say an ATM machine, we're really saying machine twice because ATM stands for automated teller machine. So it's like saying an automated teller machine. Also with my PIN number, I've forgotten my PIN number. PIN is personal identification number. So it's like saying I've forgotten my personal identification number. Now I can't finish this video without pointing out that sometimes we can use tautology intentionally for impact, for added impact in usually more literary contexts or more colloquial contexts. As I said, in academic writing like essays or reports or proposals, I don't recommend you use it in this way. But let's look at some examples where tautology is used intentionally. So I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it with my own eyes. That's quite a common expression, and it's redundant, right? Of course you saw it with your own eyes. What else are you going to see it with? You can't see it with your ears or your nose. It must have been with your own eyes, not your friend's eyes, of course. But we're using tautology here to really emphasize, I promise it's true. I saw it with my own eyes. I can guarantee what I'm saying happened because I saw it. It's not just that I saw it with my own eyes. Another typical phrase, which is technically a redundancy, but it's quite common. I am my father's son. I am my father's son. Of course I'm my father's son. I can only be my father's son or daughter, of course, but as a man, I'm my father's son. But again, we use that to emphasize that, I have a lot of similarities to my father. I take after my father. So usually when you do something that your father would do, then you're really emphasizing, look, I'm my father's son. I'm very similar to my father. Of course, you could be your mother's son or your mother's daughter, your father's daughter, etc. Another quite a common expression, boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. So again, it's emphasizing boys will do the things that boys do. That's just typical of boys. Okay, I hope that helps you with your writing compositions. I know a lot of you struggle with the writing part of the exams. Don't forget, I have my online preparation courses, which will help you even more because I look at every single part of the exam, sharing my tips and advice on strategy and approach, and we look at sample papers. That's for the B2 First, C1 Advanced and C2 Proficiency Cambridge English exams. Okay, thank you for joining me again, and I'll see you very soon for another video.